morning everyone. Here we are with you at Gradeup, and we bring to you the detailed analysis or the answer key discussion of the CMAT 2019 paper. Okay, with the exam due in just another week. It's due in a week time. It's on the 28th of this month. So we have brought before you the analysis of the English section of the CMAT 2019 paper. Okay, before we dwell into the discussion, I would just want to give you a quick overview of the paper. It comprises of 4 sections. You have the maths and the DI, then English GS and the reasoning. Okay, each section has 24 questions. Each question is of 4 marks, and the negative marking for each of these questions is -1. Okay, so here we have right on your screen, you can see the agenda for today's discussion. Okay, it is the discussion of the English language comprehension section. Okay, also this is a recorded session. It's going to be very crisp, and it's just a last minute help to you guys. So without much ado, we can begin the session now. Okay, all right. So we had a passage, it was on endangered language, and it traced ki kaun se language are on the verge of being extinct. It also traced the origin of some of these language, and we have some 4 to 5 questions based on this particular passage. So the first question, these languages will become extinct in the above sentence. These refer to, of course, we are talking about the endangered languages. So the answer is going to be option C. Okay, very simple. These passages were very simple. Okay, so I don't think I need to give you a lot of explanation. Now, the Spanish language evolved out of, okay, the answer is right here on your screens. See, slowly, and Latin slowly evolved into modern Italian, Spanish. So right here on your screens you have Spanish. The language, Spanish language evolved from your Latin. So here the answer is going to be option D. Okay. Now moving on to the next question. What is endangered language? Okay. So the language that's spoken by many people, a language that's most likely to die in the near future, the language that's not spoken by anyone at all, language that's most likely to expand in the near future. Clearly, without any if or but, the answer is going to be option B. A language that's most likely to die in the near future, therefore, we think or we are considering it to be endangered, right? So, that's about question number 3. The correct answer is going to be option B. All right. Now, moving on, you have who can change the decision of a country. Okay, this is another question altogether. Okay, we have a different passage now. This is a passage that's talking about the World Trade Organization and who defines the whole concept of being a developed or a developing country, right? So this is a passage about that, and it also talks about the preferences that's given to the developing countries, and also it is dealing with who, like what decides, or what are the parameters on which we decide a country to be developing, or the preferences that it is supposed to get. Okay, all right. So the 4th question here is, who can change the decision of a country to make use of provisions available to the developing countries? Okay, so the answer is explicitly mentioned. It is any member country of the WTO. The answer is given as any member country of the WTO can decide what are the provisions that would be available to a developing country. Okay, so all right, now moving on to the 5th question. Who decides whether one country is developed or developing? Okay, the neighboring country, the preference given country, the World Trade Organization, the country itself. Right at the beginning of the passage, it has been given that it is the country themselves who decide ki bhai whether we are developed or developing. Okay, so WTO doesn't decide that. It is the country itself. Okay, so the answer is going to be option D. You see, guys, how easily such simple question can fetch you 4 marks. Very, very simple passages, and I hope ki everybody is very well versed with this art of comprehension. And such tiny passages, I believe everybody should already have that stronghold on each of these. Okay, chaliye, moving on to the 6th question. Why would a country likes, well, it should be like, why would a country like to announce itself as a developing country? Okay, so that it gets some relaxation of time in implementation of the WTO agreements, so that it need implement WTO agreements, so that it can become a member of WTO, so that it can become the preference giving country. Clearly, what should be the answer? It gets some relaxation. All right, it's clearly given to get some relaxation. Okay, so your answer to question number 6 is option A. All right, option A. ठीक है, चलिए अब we will move forward. Now this is another passage altogether. It talks about parenting, right, and how parenting is such an important task, क्योंकि that is the first that's the first thing that a child is exposed to, or जो भी values the child is supposed to imbibe comes from the parents. And towards the end, the passage talks about that it is largely dependent on the value system. ठीक है, the value system, or implying that the cultural जो भी आपका cultural ambience रहेगा बच्चे के आसपास, that is the way how the child is going to evolve. Okay, so all right, so parenting here is compared to, it has been absolutely completely explicitly it has been given that parenting is actually like nourishing a plant. They have used the word sapling somewhere right here. So sapling gives you the clue that parenting here is compared to nourishing a plant. Okay, all right, chaliye. Which of the following is a major differentiator on some of the major facets of parenting? So what actually differentiates one kind of parenting from the other? So last line of the passage absolutely gives you that it is the value system. It is the value system. ठीक है? So the answer is going to be option A. Very, very clearly given. No inference, no assumptions. Answers are absolutely direct. Okay. So, parenting is basically culture independent. Definitely incorrect. It is dependent. Common across all cultures? No, that is not the case. Culture dependent, बिल्कुल सही. Value system की बात हुई है, right? It has talked about this, the value system that differentiates different kinds of parenting, right? So the answer is going to be option C. All right. Now we have another passage now, and this passage has is talking about Steve Jobs. Okay, and it tells us some of the important or interesting facts about Steve Jobs. So like for example, he says that he was a Zen Buddhist. He spent a lot of time in India. His favorite book was the autobiography of a yogi. So the passage is talking about that, and then he goes on to say Steve Jobs. So we are talking in the first narrative here, I karke, whenever you use I, we, is tarike se. So he's talking the first narrative here, and he says that he talks about the concept of death being the ultimate reality, being the ultimate destination. Okay, and the passage also talks about Steve Jobs being a perfectionist. Okay, so now let's just take up the questions. Remembering that you're going to die is the best way I know in this line is, okay, who has given this or who has said this? ठीक है, the author of the article, Steve Jobs, any manager, the narrator of the article. So it is Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs talks about death. All this is being said by Steve Jobs, right? जो भी quotes में है आपके. So the answer is going to be option B, right? The answer is going to be option B. Now, moving on. In the passage, which of the following is not true? Okay, which of the following is not true? Look for death. Death is the destination. Death is the single best invention. No one escapes death. Well, all of these have been talked about. Death is the ultimate destination. Death is actually the single most, the best invention, and nobody can escape death because it is the only destination that's common to all. What he doesn't talk about is to look for death. He doesn't talk about that you should go out looking for death. Okay, so the answer here is going to be option A. Option A is the correct answer. Okay, now, all right, this is very, very simple. Steve Jobs believed in, I told you, Steve Jobs was a perfectionist. ठीक है, in the passage, there has been an example that's been given. He did not have furniture at his house. Why? Because he was not able to find the perfect furniture. Okay, so he was a perfectionist. Okay, so he believed in perfectionism. Okay, he believed in perfectionism. All right, chaliye, moving on. Which of the following statements is false? Okay, Steve Jobs had no furniture at his house because, which is false. Okay, he wanted to buy the perfect furniture. Yes, he was a perfectionist, so this is true. He had no money. Well, Steve Jobs not having money is funny, right? So this is definitely false. The statement is false. He was a perfectionist. Yes. He could not decide what to buy. Yes, it's correct. So the answer is going to be option B. Option B is your correct answer. Okay, chaliye, moving on. Now, the passage is written in, I told you, it's a first person narrative. It's been talked about. Steve Jobs is narrating it, looks like, with the reference of I, है ना? Remembering that I'll be dead soon, right? So it's been talked, it's been talked about from Steve Jobs' point of view, right? He is narrating it. So it will be first person narrative. All right. So when the story, whenever any story is being narrated by one person at a time, that's the first person narrative. ठीक है? So that is about it. Now the passage tells us, okay, some not very well known facts. Steve Jobs' business management skills, Steve Jobs' life story, very well-known facts about Steve Jobs, right? At the beginning of the passage, it has been said, I would like to share a few unknown facts about the man who pretty much changed the world with one small technological device. So, we are talking about some of the not very well-known facts about Steve Jobs. ठीक है? Clear? The answer is going to be option A. Option A is the correct answer. Okay? All right. Now, here we wind up all we are done with all the comprehensions. Now, we've come to more of grammar related questions. So, select the grammatically correct sentence from the following statements. Okay? Although he failed in that mathematics, but he received a degree in engineering. Although he had failed in mathematics, he received a degree in engineering. We have to choose the correct statement. ठीक है? We have to choose the correct statement. So, आप हर चीज में देखिएगा, हर सेंटेंस में although और but साथ में यूज हुआ है. But both of them cannot be used together. Right? Both of them cannot be used together. The motive of both, like in A and C, what is the motive of using although or but? Both of them are same. Both of them are trying to depict a contrast, right? Both of them try to depict a contrast. So we cannot, use both of them together. So A and C, they cannot be used together, right? Now, although he had failed in mathematics, comma, he received a degree in engineering. Now, we have, although he had failed in mathematics, that he received a degree in engineering. This is grammatically incorrect. We do not need that here, right? We do not need that here. So that will go. We are left with B. Although he had failed in mathematics, comma, he received a degree in engineering. So your answer is going to be option B. Option B will be your answer, right? Very simple. Now, you have a rearrangement of sentence. You have segments given to you, and then you have to rearrange them to form a coherent statement. So, let's just let's just skim through it, and by having an overview, roughly, what we can say is it's an interrogative sentence, right? It's an interrogative sentence. So, let's just see what should be the correct order. It should be, did he realize that he had been helped by a man he never respected. PRQS is the, did he realize that he had been helped by a man that he never respected. ठीक है? So your answer would be option A. Very simple, very, very easy. All right. Now, here you have a sentence that's given, and you have to give you you have to identify what is the meaning that's been implied by the phrase that's given in bold, okay, that's been colored, okay, or underlined. So a good teacher is one who sees to it that a student does not waste time in reinventing the wheel, okay, waste of time on unnecessary details, repeating oneself, waste time in imaginary things, doing something that has already been done. D will be your answer. Reinventing the wheel का मतलब होता है कि आप उसी चीज पे काम कर रहे हो which has already been done. So that is called reinventing the wheel. Okay. So here your answer is going to be option D. All right. Okay. Reinventing the wheel, it means that it's a waste of time. You're doing something and that's a waste of time because that thing has already been done. Okay. Okay. Now, from the options given below, choose the correct substitute for the underlined word. Okay. Democracy is one of the is of the people, by the people, and for the people. However, a government run by a few is dangerous for a republic like India. Okay. You have aristocracy. Aristocracy का मतलब होता है where the rule is by nobles. ठीक है? Only those who've been born in elite families. ठीक है? Noble families. So that is aristocracy. Monarchy is of course where you have a king. India doesn't have a king. Autocracy is the rule by one person. So Germany under Hitler was a autocracy. Okay. So rule by one person is autocracy. What you are left with is oligarchy. Oligarchy is when a group of people come together and there's a rule by them. That's called oligarchy. Okay. So your answer to this question is going to be option A. All right. Very easy questions, guys. Now, choose the word that's closest in meaning to the word abridge. All right. Abridge majorly means to shorten, और ये हम किसी script या writing के context में करते हैं. The use is often in the context of writing. When we try to cut it short, that's called abridge. Okay. So clearly, B should be your answer. Okay, B should be your answer. Okay, now you have a fill in the blank question. The instructor asked the students to work dash the given sum in the notebook and hand it dash to him for correction. So, even if you do not know the first word, if you know the second word, see, the instructor asked the students to work dash the given sum in the notebook and hand it. When you are giving from one person to the other person, when you are giving a particular thing to the other person, you say hand over. Okay, so when hand it over to him for correction. Okay, so second word is definitely over, right? Second word is definitely over. We can negate options A and B. Now, the instructor asked the students to work out ya on. Well, work out, it means specially of an equation which is capable of being solved. Okay, so the instructor asked the students to work out the given sum in the notebook. Okay, work out is a phrase that is used specially with reference to an equation, and it means something that's capable of being solved. Okay, so the answer is going to be option D. Option D is your correct answer. Okay guys, very easy questions. So there's not much to discuss or to explain. Okay, now coming to question number 22, I believe the kind of paper it was, everybody should have scored a minimum of like 75 to 80 marks. Okay, the following sentence is underlined and marked as a section A, B, C and D. Show which section contains an error. Okay, so this is an error spotting question. As John had taken only a few sips of the tea, there was still little, this should be tea, there was still little tea left in the cup. Well, the problem is here, it should be some tea left. Okay, there should be some tea left. Now, the difference between little and some is of connotation, whether it's being used in the positive connotation or in the negative connotation. अगर हम positive में use कर रहे हैं, तो we will be using some. अगर हम negative connotation लगा रहे हैं, तो we will be using little. So here the sentence is conveying कि as John had taken only a few sips of tea, there was still, so John had taken only little. ठीक है, so chances हैं कि उसमें already the tea would have been there in the teapot. होगा, right? So we have a positive connotation कि there would be some tea left. अगर हम बहुत ज़्यादा tea ले लेते और negative रहता कि थोड़ा ही बचा है, तो हम वहाँ little लगाते. Okay? So that is the difference here. The answer would be option D. Option D is your correct answer. Okay? Now, choose the correct word that is opposite in meaning to the word pacify. Pacify मतलब होता है किसी को calm down करना, right? Calm down करना. Okay? So इसका उल्टा होगा to aggravate. When you make a bad situation worse, that's aggravating. So that will be opposite of pacify. That will be completely opposite to pacify. Right? So your answer is going to be option A. Option A is the correct answer. Okay? Now, coming to question number 24. Choose the closest meaning of the proverb to leave someone in the lurch. Okay? To leave someone in the lurch, it means to leave someone to help someone in difficulties. Definitely not correct because the idiom is talking about leave, right? Okay? To respect someone, no, that is not the correct answer. To leave someone to his or her fate, yes, this can be the answer. Leave someone in the lurch ka matlab hota you've left someone without helping them at a time when they needed it. In a difficult situation, if you leave someone, that's called leaving them in a lurch. Okay? So C will be your answer. Okay? And now we come to the last question of the paper of 2019. prima facie का मतलब क्या होता है? A prima facie case is what? As it seems at the first sight, as it turns out to be at the end, as it seems to be to the court after a number of hearings, as it is made to seem at first sight. Made to seem nahi, as it seems at the first sight. Okay? As it seems at the first sight. Alright? So what will be the answer, guys? The answer would be as it seems at the first sight. So prima facie means as it seems at the first sight. Okay? So your answer is going to be option A. Alright? So with this, we wind up today's session. Okay, the session was, of course, on your discussion of the answer key of 2019 CMAT paper. I hope, guys, it was useful to you. And with the paper in just a week's time, you derive, valuable things out of it. So that's about it. We will see you guys again sometime with another discussion of a PYSP. Till then, you guys take care and bye-bye.